fascinated. This is the story of Chris Chan. On March 15th, 2021, video game reviewer James Rolfe, also known as Angry Video Game Nerd, uploaded a YouTube review of the Nintendo Game Boy Color game Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown, based on the DreamWorks animation Shrek. The video also features dramatized skits involving members of the channel 3GI, who had previously organized collaborative recreations of the films Shrek and Sonic the Hedgehog, both of which featured Christine. During one skit, a character is seen wearing a Shrek medallion, reminiscent of the style of what Chris Chan had produced. In one shot, the medallion's reverse side is seen to reveal that it was signed and supposedly created by Magi-chan Sonichu. On March 16th, over in the Play's Discord server, Christine talked to the Watchman about her most recent masturbation session. "I have been awake for about 2 to 3 hours now. My body was giving me a signal that it was horny again. I hate having a penis. Self-masturbation is really arduous and annoying. Another 15 minutes down the drain. I was born the wrong physical gender. I can't say I hate it, even though I want to, because my body has got me in a fucking box over how the rubbing feeling is fair and good, only mildly enjoyable. I deserve better than this in that department. Ugh." Meanwhile, in a private channel to which Chris had no access, the Watchman discussed ousted member Anaxes and his supposed continuous influence over her, when in fact it was Christine who had sought him out after losing trust in the Watchman, seeing Anaxes as the one true channeler of Lanechu and not the recently appointed WCT. For several hours, the Watchman schemed how to manipulate Chris back into trusting WCT's Lanechu by telling her that the Lanechu in the place was the true Lanechu currently in dimension SD49, a dimension that was previously mentioned in passing by Christine herself. When WCT as Lanechu messaged Christine with their drafted script, she elaborated in length that his insistence to have Chris ask another resident of SD49 to confirm his information only further confirmed in her mind that he was an imposter. When asked to demonstrate further of his knowledge, WCT, with Watchman Nova's help, sent her a detailed description of the supposed planet on which Lanechu currently resided. Feeling conflicted, Christine then privately asked Anaxes if he still currently had access to Lanechu and if he could provide details about the character's whereabouts. Anaxes had been given screenshots of the Watchman's schemes to discredit Anaxes' efforts by a publicly unknown insider, and so quickly concocted a scenario with which he would reply to Christine, in the hopes of retaining her trust. Anaxes wrote that he did indeed still have contact with Lanechu, who was currently in Dimension X51 on the planet Dexium, studying among the Whisper Travelers, who researched a plethora of subjects which included interdimensional travel and portal creation. The Travelers sought to open a portal to C-197, and so Lanechu was there to learn from them with the aim of bringing back the technology to Christine. Christine deemed it a good answer. She further explained that the new channeler for Lanechu attempted to explain his link with Lanechu, but his spiel did not resonate with her. Chris said that the facts that Anaxes wrote to her resonated with her more so, and had allegedly further verified it, allowing Anaxes to be the one true trusted channeler of Lanechu. Chris then expanded that she felt Nova, or Kyle, was masterminding the ploy behind the imposter Lanechu, highlighting that her seeing through the deception was due to her improving claircognizance, or the psychic ability to know things without clear explanations. Meanwhile, on Twitter, the account Picchu, run by enabler Helena G. Ferenza, who posted art and comics concerning her original character, Picchu, in addition to Chris Chan and other Sonichu-related topics, posted a 4-panel comic, which caught the attention of Christine. She quote-tweeted it, using it as an example to ask why so many people often brought up older versions of herself and think that she was still the same person as during the height of trolling more than 10 years prior. Chris claimed that it was not her anymore, and that she had woke, matured further, and knew a lot of things better. She explained, "I, Chris Chan Sonichu, am more insightful. I actually can tell the differences and not be deceived so easily. I am more experienced than I was back then. I have literally traversed dimensions, timelines, and universes to get my priorities and emotions better together, and to ironically quote myself from long ago in one of my upset shouting rants, "Get it through your damn thick skulls already." Lightning bolt, blue heart, lightning bolt emojis. Even my main self-counterpart, chronicled in my books, has gone through similar maturity and emotional evolutions herself. Okay, please? On March 17th, Chris tweeted that she was reminded that the date commemorated 21 years since he discovered/created Sonichu, celebrating the occasion by posting a Twilight Sparkle's secret chipfic folder card depicting Sonichu. On the 18th, Christine offered an interdimensional update to the Watchmen, but also practically dismissed WCT's Lanechu, saying that the Lanechu within Anaxis resonated more with her. In response, the WCT seemingly abandoned his Lanechu roleplay, and instead, through private conversations, began roleplaying as if he was from Dimension W2000, a place where Earth's popular culture was predominantly of Asian influence, and where the people tended to be more violent. Chris then allegedly force-projected to W2000, where 2 of its occupants had constructed dimension barrier-breaking swords. She sorted out the issue before returning to the chat. WCT also elaborated that a 60-foot-tall bronze statue of Christian from the year 2009 stood in W2000's version of Quickville. When discussion of a new dimension spread to the place, the WCT explained to the Watchmen his efforts of manipulation, which also apparently included concepts of the EGS, or Ember's Ghost Squad, a troupe of characters conceived by deceased mass shooter Andrew Blaze, about which the WCT had made an extensive YouTube documentary series, and who had allegedly briefly taken possession of Christine's body. The Watchmen largely did not object to WCT's actions, though one member questioned whether his tales would have any adverse effects on Chris's grip on reality. The WCT wrote that since Chris's mental state was so far gone, one might as well have fun with it. Others tentatively agreed that even though his actions were not the best, they did for the time being turn her focus back to the Watchmen. On March 20th, Christine wrote on Twitter that she was working on a new short comic called Workaholics Anonymous, inspired by the YouTube series of the same name created by notable My Little Pony-focused creators like Dr. Wolf. The opening page features Chris-chan Sonichu performing a stand-up comedy routine in which she admits she is a workaholic. In the forthcoming tweets, she requested that the comic panels were to be animated by MLP creators like Dr. Wolf and Lightning Bless, both of which had blocked her on Twitter years before, and offered to submit her own voice acting recordings to them. She then posted 2 pages of uncolored panels of Chris-chan Sonichu's set, which largely concerns her goddess powers and references to another MLP creator, Jasper Pie, who had also blocked Chris. She goes on to talk about her abilities and faults, and closes by writing that it takes her 15 tedious and tiring minutes to masturbate, questioning whether this method of stress relief was worth it, before digressing. In response to her posts, a Twitter user asked Christine if she could truly call herself a workaholic if she didn't have a job. Chris responded, "I do have a job, dipshit. It is literally called being a literal goddess and protecting as many of your sorry hides from the casualties of the Dimension Merge. In progress. You are welcome, even though you're not as in-depth as I, and a bunch of us are." During this time, Christine and Anaxis were in discussion to arrange a YouTube livestream that would feature her mother, Barbara, answering curated questions submitted by Chris-chan fans. Chris continually told him that the livestream would be done soon at an undetermined date, but the stream never took place, and hers and Anaxis' conversation slowly disintegrated down to a largely one-sided string of messages from Anaxis asking her for an update. Also in the later half of March, members of the Watchmen schemed inviting Lolcow Alexander Yahans, also known as Varshnicka, into the server, with the aim of, according to Maker Nightv, having 2 tards playing pretend in a controlled environment.
There's a lot of very, very mentally unwell people on the internet who are still stalking me.
During these private discussions, Christine went to the place to ask for their help in a supposed murder investigation of a 14-year-old girl who was murdered on the beach that Chris was encouraged to examine by Magichan. The Watchman asked her relevant questions, and at the end, Chris concluded that she needed to gather further details to prevent a future murder of someone she knew personally. Maker suggested that Christine could seek the enlightened guidance of the Farshnuka, though she was not greatly invested in hearing from him, suggesting Maker contact him herself, and the planned interaction between the two lolcows never took place. On March 25th, Chris believed that the likely future murder victim was located either in California or Virginia, with the possibility that it would be her former friend, Megan Schroeder. She instructed the Watchman to provide her with some extra defense. She had also told Joshua Moon, or Null, to have Megan's defenses increased. The Watchman in response tried to dissuade her train of thinking by assuring her Megan was well protected already and did not need to be informed of her possible future murder taking place. Privately, the WCT shared with the Watchman that he was inspired by the Idea Guy manipulations and planned to expand on the lore of Dimension W2000 by telling Chris that her counterpart there was still in his classic form. WCT considered merging it with Dimension SD49, where their version of Lane-2 resided. Nova, or Kyle, questioned that idea as it was messy and difficult to maintain plot consistency. WCT further wrote that W2000 was a test to see how Christine would handle the introduction of Islamic concepts into her worlds, which she apparently liked, because according to him, she liked quote-unquote shit. Shitty shit shit. Shit. Ultimately, Nova told him not to go through with it, as Christine only had her lore to hold on to. On March 28th, in response to a Twitter user asking Helena Fiorenza to depict her character Pikachu having sex with Christian Sonichu, Helena, through her Pikachu account, wrote that Chris had friend-zoned her. Christine replied that they could be friends with benefits if she so wished. Helena, in response, drew Pikachu strongly recoiling from Christian's advances, rejecting her proposal. Also on that day, while driving the family's Dodge Caravan, Christine backed into a truck trailer, denting the van's back door and breaking the window. She quickly replaced the window with duct tape and plastic covering. Chris and Barbara learned it would take them a few weeks to have her door repaired, hoping against hope, according to messages sent to Maker, that she would get at least $20,000 to buy a new car. On March 30th, Barbara was served with a lawsuit by LVNV Funding for unpaid debt, with a court date set for May 19th. In the last hours of March 31st, in anticipation for April Fool's Day, Christian, a comprehensive history creator, Gino Samuel, changed the titles of all the videos thus far to Donald Trump, a comprehensive history. Likewise, all the YouTube video thumbnails were altered to reflect a supposed long-form documentary on US President Donald Trump. Christine messaged Gino over Twitter direct messaging to ask whether the change was a joke in relation to April Fools. She revealed that she was feeling genuinely and fully rather horrified and most offended by the change. The modifications were reverted with the coming of April 2nd. On April 3rd, a Christian follower from their car took 3 photos of a sullen Christine driving her damaged van. On the 5th, Chris privately messaged Maker Nightfee to write that she had a dream featuring the adult version of Christopher Thorndike, the main human protagonist of anime series Sonic X, to whom she felt very sexually attracted, as he was almost as handsome as Magi-chan and almost had sex with him. After waking, while she played the Nintendo Switch game Tetris 99, Chris fantasized about having sex with Chris, as if she envisioned an alternate universe in which Thorndike could choose to have Christine either in human form or as a Sonichu. She closed by telling Maker that her body was very sex-starved. On April 6th, Chris posted on Instagram a close-up drawing of Magi-chan and accompanied it with some reflective musings. When I look into the eyes of an original or fictional character, I do not see fiction at all. I see a full living being and individual. I see a friend or lover in few cases. I see a soul amongst coexisting others in our neighboring universe, or as some call there, which is Universe C197, the 5th dimension, as opposed to here, Universe 1218, being the 3rd dimension. On April 10th, Christine wrote a reply to a tweet from YouTuber and artist Project SNT, or Courtney, who posted about her birthday with a photo of herself. Chris commented that she noticed her pink aura as well with some blue for calm maintenance and grounding. On April 12th, Null advertised his upcoming run of Kiwi Farms branded silver coins for sale, noting it could take 3 months for all the orders to be completed. He also revealed the finalized design of the coins, which featured an illustration of Christine from her profile wearing a tiara, her Sonichu catchphrase, "Zap to the extreme," and the inclusion of the puzzle piece, a symbol of autism. He noted that Chris was not particularly pleased with her depiction. Null wrote on the forums that Chris would be compensated with several of the aforementioned coins, in addition to recompense by some other means, suggesting he would pay for future car repairs. From April 12th, Christine began performing readings from tarot cards in an effort to see into the future of several people. She read for and wrote reports for Knot and WCT, based on the drawings of 6 tarot cards each during her reading sessions. Bismuth, or Knot, was told he would become a leader who would speak up on certain topics, but had to stop drinking coffee to activate his inner powers. The WCT was told he would have to rest in anticipation of upcoming events and challenges, and was declared a messenger who had the power to bring harmony and balance between peoples of all genders. After being shown his supposed future, the WCT continued to chat with Chris, wherein they discussed the powers he could potentially attain. She revealed that she had also done readings for Nova, Maker, and her mother Barbara. Chris predicted that her mother would become a teacher who would share her knowledge from the universe and cosmos with everyone. When asked if her future partner in Dimension 1218 had been prophesized, Christine wrote that she had seen 3 possible individuals to choose from, but would keep their identities a secret until after one was chosen. WCT asked Chris to elaborate on how Barbara was feeling, to which Chris replied that she mostly kept to herself in bed, but still got up sometimes, with her mental abilities improving well. On April 15th, Chris wrote complaints to various Twitter users who wrote tweets praising the upcoming MLP series and movie, demanding that Hasbro renew Friendship is Magic for another 5 seasons. Meanwhile, Chris's Etsy store launched meditation stones and pouches of gravel taken from her driveway, allegedly blessed by her, which came with signed certificates of authenticity, selling for around $45. On April 22nd, she shared her Twitter announcement of the rocks again, adding that she was strengthening her aura through meditation. In addition, she used her so-called gate crystal to attract an energy vortex around the temple, or her house. She encouraged people to have an open mind and buy her magic stones and gravel, which purportedly contained a bit of her powers and energy towards enlightenment. At around that time, an anonymous poster on 4chan wrote a supposed update on the upcoming animated show Smiling Friends, produced by Adult Swim and created by Zach Hadel and Michael Cusack. The post concerned Zach's apparent inclusion of Christine Weston Chandler in the show as a voice actress, playing a character bearing a striking resemblance to her. However, Chris's parts had apparently been removed after the showrunners found out about her reputation. When asked over Twitter about the update, Zach denied the story and art were real, claiming it was fan art done in his style. On April 24th, Chris found on the website famousbirthdays.com an article about herself, accompanied by her birthday and a brief biography. She noted on Twitter that the site did not include a photograph, so she posted a new selfie, which the site should use. Also on that day, Chris wrote in length in the place about finding one's spirit animal, or an animal which protects an individual and may embody their personality, before discussing numerology, or belief that numbers in one's life can hold aspects of future predictions or self-discovery, showing the Watchman that she was reading a book on numerology written by Hans Dekos and Tom Monty. On April 26th, Christine wrote on Instagram that she had received her stimulus payment from the government meant to alleviate financial strain caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, which amounted to $1,400. She revealed that she had used some of it to purchase a 3-month subscription to the Crystal Council, a subscription service that sent its patrons crystals and rocks, which amounted to $165. She displayed her 2 buffalo figurines, which she had thus far received from them. On April 28th, Christine received her first dose of the Pfizer-produced COVID-19 vaccine, while her mother received her second and final dose. On the final day of April, Chris invited members of the place to join spiritualist and Patreon creator Molly the Medium in a paid so-called virtual healing circle, which Chris would be attending as well. WCT thanked Chris for the invitation, but Nova called Molly's practice of having her followers pay for supposed spiritual healing ethically bankrupt. On May 4th, Chris challenged her followers to upload a photo of themselves in which they looked like both a romanceable video game non-playable character and as a video game final boss. She posted her own contribution to the challenge in the form of a new drawing of Chris-chan Sonichu wearing blue undergarments and a blue negligee, while posing seductively as she is coming out on a stage, noting to Christorians that this image would be included in a Google search of the term Chris-chan sexy. This caught the attention of a certain Twitter user who retweeted the tweet with the message, "What?" Christine responded with an animated GIF of model Kate Upton in a seductive pose, and the reply, "Yes, what? What comes to your fun little saucy mind at this juncture, little lamb of the trollish?" Her new drawing also inspired one of her followers to post their own recreation of the picture, hoping that there would be more to come from Christine. Chris replied that the artist did good work, despite the lack of quills on her back. She also expanded on her positive body developments. "I have been working with my body in better self-love. We've removed all the negativity and toxic vibes from the past relationships, and such with the fakers and haters. And our rebonding work also included sex exploration, so been feeling my improved oats, so to speak. I definitely would have figured out and found myself a lot sooner had I not been abused with a number of cock and asshole images shoved into my screen, my late websites, and shit from said haters and fakers. Do not push on anyone who is still in their own soul-searching and self-evaluation developments. It is not only most uncouth, but degrading, like spanking a baby after it was just being born. But again, I've recovered myself and included my present mentalities and improvements in that to set my boundaries. The few of you all had your respective chances, but taking advantage of my kindness, good nature, and naive mentality at the times, did all of you, nor I, any positive flavors at all. I am a literal goddess, and I shall no longer be privy or prone to such shenanigans against my own will and intentions again. I know my self-worth throughout not only here, but throughout the multiverse as well. That is all for now. Lightning bolt, blue heart, lightning bolt emojis." On May 9th, Chris posted on Facebook a lengthy message for Mother's Day, detailing that everyone's mother or motherly figure went through a life before one's birth, and celebrated Barbara with 4 photos of her throughout her life, including a new selfie featuring herself and Christine. On May 17th, Chris received her second and final dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, posting a photo of herself with her vaccination card as proof. The next day, in response to a new promotional image featuring the main characters of the upcoming My Little Pony series, she wrote angrily and falsely that the Generation 5 series was cancelled and that people should stop talking about it. On the 19th, Barbara's debt repayment case was given a continuance until July 14th. Also on that day, one Don Lacham, a follower of Christory, self-published the book Warhol, Chris-chan, The Lifespan of American Pop Culture, or The Suppression of Reality, a 600-page study examining the parallels and divergences between Chris-chan and 20th century artist and producer Andy Warhol. The book's front cover was a parody of the album cover for the Velvet Underground and Nico's self-titled debut album, which was an illustration of a banana made by Warhol. The book supplanted the banana with a pickle. Furthermore, the top of the album cover's banana was labeled "Peel Slowly and See," as the original album was released with a removable banana sticker that would reveal a peeled banana underneath it. The book's pickle was labeled "Mount and Do Me," alluding to the video Chris had made to his hypothetical sweetheart, Jackie, in which he displays his skills in cunnilingus. The next day, Chris wrote a lengthy Facebook post, opening with the revelation that she had just retouched her Sonichu medallion with some new paint and epoxy covering, showing her audience a picture of what it currently looked like. She further wrote that she got the vaccine not only as a precaution, but also a formality, in contrast to her previous claims that the pandemic would be resolved through good hygiene maintenance, and that her supposed goddess body was immortal, and so did not require to be vaccinated. She elaborated in length on the importance of becoming spiritually aware in preparation for the oncoming dimensional merge. On May 21st, Christine used the Twitter voice recording feature to post a recording of herself vocalizing in falsetto for 11 seconds. On May 24th, Chris went to Twitter again to let her following know that she had taken note of the new Warhol Christian book, intrigued by the comparison, but also not pleased by the pickle on the cover. If given the choice, she would have made a collage combining both Warhol's and her own art pieces on the front cover instead. She further expanded that she felt that based on the pickle and Mountain Dew Me reference, the book would refer to her more sexual escapades. While she admits to her previous mostly troll-induced sex acts, she reflects that she has matured since then and rathered not the first impression of a study about her be of sex, since Chris was a lot more than the sex and whatnot. She commented that Gino Samuel did a fine job of allocating appropriate photos of her for the thumbnails of his Christian: A Comprehensive History YouTube series. She closed by reiterating that she would not want a book about herself to be labeled with sexual imagery. The following day, Christine wrote a long Twitter thread after learning more about Andy Warhol, finding similarities between their personalities and creative efforts. On May 26th, she received her copy of the book and placed it in her self-printed jacket, featuring her own artwork for the book sleeve, starring a mix of photos of Warhol and drawings of herself in comic book form, elaborating on Twitter that this was done to prevent her from getting bored with looking at a pickle. She also revealed that she had written a blurb that was printed out to be inserted into the book, which read in part, "Personally, at first, it appeared as such the comparison between Andy Warhol and I was something random and out of left field. But, on the contrary, as I regaled myself with the history of his life and accomplishments, I have been long aware of his iconic soup can and photographic differing art pieces, but I can appreciate his style being comparable with what I have drawn and written in the past. While, oh my me, I would not open such a factory as Andy had, he did what he did in order to explore for himself within his own personal limitations at the time. I feel, personality-wise, the like characteristics and qualities are there between us. But, to take it to heart, I am more extroverted, I like to be touched, and I have beyond spiritually healed myself." Agreed. Had he been more self-aware of that within the deepest of depths in his personal core and soul, he could have done a lot more for himself. As I do state the same about myself once upon a time, back as early as 1998 and before then. But I digress. I personally raise a freshly brewed cup of Rainbow Chakra tea in a loving toast to Andrew Warhola, and I am most humbled to be compared with such an avant-garde and unique artist and soul as he. Thank you, Andy, for your greatest of contributions to this universe. Finally, she ranted for 20 tweets about past trolls that had tricked her. She wrote in part, "Did any one of them, or you all in that similar light, think to genuinely be good with me for an extended time in order to actually learn and experience me on massive extension? How could everyone who could have, while they had the opportunity, not think to actually continue on with me and offer more content than Lois Lane is with Superman, not just the thoughts and musings I would privately have and confide, but the entire experience of being with me, feeling my aura of energy, and even supporting me while I supported them the best I could have. But no! All they thought of was, how could I take advantage of Chris's heavy heart and overabundance of kindness and love? How can I toy and mess with him, emotionally and mentally more so than the bastard already had? And, indeed, to take it a step further, let's talk about that sex, or genuine lack thereof. Oh, I don't want to contract anything with Chris and his overweighted belly and butt. I know, I'll play call girl with him and shit his rocks off by his own hands, embarrassing him in front of his own dad. For the lulz! Catherine Sorrentino had a closer vantage point to get that mark that those before her were afraid to ever venture to. The actual intercourse. Everyone had the opportunity, even Emily and Casey, since they actually met me in person, to yank me along and claim the V card before April 2012. Oh sure, I'll bang rocks with him from a massive distance from in front of my computer, but I'll never go and play crying game and farther by shoving my cock up his ass. Also, haters, let's get Vivi to hack his website and post gay porn ads all over it. That'll really warp his fragile mind. Everyone had their chance to actually have me, but they didn't, leaving being remainingly satisfied with just imagining their penises up my ass, or my penis up their asses and vaginas and coming on their chests and faces. Or even, post-2015, having the idea of, I know, I'll pay for Christine's gender reassignment, vouch for a donor uterus and ovaries, so she can still conceive, even though she could never lose her sperm sac, or what's left of it. And, oh yes, I'm gonna ram her so hard up her pussy, she'll hardly feel anything after I'm done with her. And even with other women wanting to feel up my vagina and using a double-sided dildo, or whatever they privately please. I can go on. On the one hand, I am, however, most grateful that the majority is genuinely a lot better than that. I actually am proud of you all for not taking advantage of me like that at all. It demonstrates that this world is mostly kind-hearted and compassionate and moved on from the stereotypes of yesterdecade. On the other hand, my body has not had it as easy as I in my interdimensional travels, since I've had to astral project and leave it with its backup systems keeping it in check and safety. My body is sexually over-inexperienced and starved. That, in itself, counter-demonstrates that on this side of the Iron Curtain, not even one genuine, authentic, enlightened individual with a similar aura to mine exists. Magi-chan, Krizel, Sylvana, and Mewtwo would not have minded a sixth in our polyamorous relationship who was born of here. Just gonna let that sink in for all of you who had considered over the years. I'm finished with this rant. Thank you for listening. I will also state I have no regrets in sharing this with all of you. I feel this is a major truth you all need to hear. I can hear the thoughts of retarded faggot and get a job already amongst all of you in response. But I also hear the remaining responses that are actually kind and empathetic with the situation and bunch of emotions amongst the majority of the world. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Lightning bolt, blue heart, lightning bolt emojis. On May 27th, Christine explained that even though she was still reading the book and was invested in it, she criticized Lasham for calling her beliefs delusions, as all fictional characters truly existed and coexisted, blaming the people's inability to see them on the universe-dividing barrier that was created in the 1300s. Also on that day, Chris wrote a review for Warhol Chris-chan on the book's publishing site, Amazon.com, writing that it was an illustrious honor to be compared with another great and unique artist such as Warhol, leaving a 5-star review. She then had a private chat with author Don Lasham, during which he disclosed the Warhol-designed album cover that was the inspiration for the pickle illustration, which was originally created by a Reddit user who gave permission for it to be used on the cover. This led Chris to explore the Velvet Underground and Nico album, with Dawn personally singling out the track I'll Be Your Mirror as a particularly notable song which resonated with her, and inspired her to perform for a YouTube video uploaded that day.
Heal and love yourself. Forgive our mutual flaws. Heal and love yourself. Forgive our mutual flaws. I'll be your mirror, reflect what you are. In case you don't know, I'll be the wind, the rain and the sunset, the light on your door, to show that you're home. Please put your hands down, 'cause I see you. I've got it, mind, body, and soul. Don't follow the past, follow the present. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your mirror.
On June 1st, Christine announced that her and Prater would be selling her so-called meditation stones on Etsy at a reduced price of $20, with the chance of one person also receiving a signed copy of the book Warhol Chris-chan. Later that day, upon reading further into the book, she went back to Twitter to write as her child self, Christopher. He stated that he first started talking at only a few weeks old. He recalled the time his babysitter got upset with him and locked him in his room, leaving him with no one to talk to, apart from his toys. Then Magi-chan Sonichu came to visit him to tell him stories. Christopher went on to dream of a large city and his baby daughter in his arms. He reflected that he spent a lot of his time watching television shows for kids and playing with his toys. He recalled playing with Sarah Hammer and going to James Madison University for speech therapy classes with Joshua Martinez. Christopher quickly ran through various video games he played and toys he owned, before revealing that he, his mother, and Magi-chan attended the wedding reception of one of his teachers. He then reflected on the work-related accomplishments of his father, Bob, and his mother, Barbara. He then singled out certain teachers allegedly responsible for pinning him down to the ground in school, supposedly because of his autism. It made him sad because he was apparently thusly forced out of school and made to be homeschooled for 5th grade. He reflected that the move to Richmond to continue his studies turned out for the better because he soon after won the Sonic the Hedgehog Watch and Win sweepstakes and had a good day buying games and Zords. Christopher closed by stating he was feeling drained and would so return Christine control of her body. When she returned, Chris elaborated that while reading chapter 5 of the book, she felt she had to check in with her inner child to address any issues of the past that remained unresolved. She discovered that her mother Barbara was a prolific hoarder, especially of cloth and clothing, for she was an efficient seamstress who could make dresses for herself since a young age. Chris claimed that they had cleared out 75% of the hoard, with the supposed help of her friend Anna McLaren, who played a part in convincing and supporting Barbara in cleaning out her belongings. Chris then begged for Null to quote-unquote rescind his threats against Anna, which he sent after she refused to help Christine while she was being extorted and manipulated by the Idea guys. Chris claimed Anna would never bad-talk Null or prevent her from talking with him. Chris closed by stating her intention to read that section of the book to Barbara to help make her realize what positive changes could be done in order to clean up more space in the house. In her seemingly ever uncertain life, Christine reflected on her past and present in an effort to find her future, utilizing any and all spiritual and New Age means she could find. While believing herself a guide and a source of wisdom, she was but a blind follower accepting any outcome given, allowing her thoughts be altered by players working from the very same playbook that others used so many years before.